Today's tutorial for Create Joy Always will be the pinch pouch. It looks like this. This one is for the 5x7. It's all in one hoop, so you will do the whole thing in one 5x7 hooping. There is an option where you can do the same design but in two separate hoops, 5x7 each, and what will happen for that is it will extend this out so it'll be a little bit longer. So this is what we're going to make today. Goes aside. So we'll go ahead and stitch our first step. I'm using an variegated thread for this just so I don't have to change my threads. If you choose to have a different color for like your ear design, you're going to go ahead and have to change that color out. And you will also need to match your back thread if you want that. I wasn't really worried about it. You can see here it's white. If you don't want it white and you want it to be variegated, you would make your bobbin the same color. So this is going to be your placements. So I have it to where you're going to stitch them all out. It's a single stitch, so it gives you a nice idea of where everything's going to go. You've got the ears, you've got your bottom piece, you will have your top piece over here as well as the bottom piece for over here, and this is going to be your back side, this is your top side. And then there's going to be a line that goes across, and that line is where you're going to line up different pieces that you've cut out. So you'll be lining this up, and I'll show you how to do that. Some of the other things you're going to need to have on hand is tape. I use tape when I'm doing this. You're going to need to have some scissors. Yeah, those are just the basics that I use. Okay, I'm going to remove this so you can get a better view. Okay, so this is your, let me see if I can grab this. This should fit perfectly right there, which it does. Okay, so it will line up with that line there when you lay it down. We're not going to do this piece first though, we're going to work on the ears. So the ears, you will go ahead and do this piece first. And see this little corner right here? You're going to line that up just like that as I hit the camera. Sorry about that. Don't mean to shake you guys. Just going to line that up so it sits perfectly. Okay? And that's what we're going to stitch down. Okay, so you can see I shifted it a little bit. It will be fine because this will be covered up later. So you're just going to tack down your ears. If you choose to change your color and do the swirls a different color, now would be the time. So this is step 1. This is step 2. Okay, so now we're going to go on to step 3, which is adding our whatchamacallit, our little swirls. So we're going to move this. This is what step 3 looks like. Okay, so now we're going to attach the back. So this is your back side. We're going to turn it over. I'm going to grab some tape. And once again, I've shaken you again. So the piece that matches the front, you're just turning it over and you're going to line it up with that line, okay? So the same way we lined it up on the front, we're going to line it up on the back, and it'll sit just like that, and you tape it right down. Place your hoops. Okay, so we have gone ahead and it has attached the back side. I'm going to flip it around, and that's what the back looks like. Okay, so it gave you a little circle. You still have this here. I'm going to leave my tape just because I feel like it. I'm not in the mood. Now we're going to take this piece and we're going to line it up right between that space. So you're going to go down to that line again, tape it into place. So now what's going to happen is it's going to put a line here and here. So replace your hoop. Okay, so now you've attached, once again I'm hitting the camera, you've attached from here to here. You're going to turn your hoop over and you're going to run a line. I use a seam ripper, you can use a pair of scissors, it's your choice, but you're going to run a line, tearing that back open just a little bit. If I can get my... Do not tear the front. And that's what I did as I was catching the front. There we go. Seam ripper didn't want to play today. So you're going to cut that back side. Okay. Now you're going to slide that through and bring it down. Okay. So what I do is I tape it into place. I leave a little bit of extra up here at the top, and I tape this into place on the back side. Let me grab another piece of tape. Tape will be your friend in this. I use a transparent, rather thin one, just because I don't want anything gummed up and I want it to adhere nicely. Make sure you have your line straight. That will be important, okay? And then you'll go ahead and replace your hoop to tack those lines down. So you can see I put my hand right here. Don't obviously you don't want to hurt yourself, but I kind of press down a little bit just to get it going so that there's no lift. And if for any reason your machine doesn't like bulk, you can always adjust your foot. So as you go through the layers, you can adjust it so your foot's length goes a little bit higher. Okay, so it's going to do it on the top and it's going to do it on the bottom. And this little sleeve right here and this little sleeve right here will be where you put your little doodad, wherever I put him. That's where this goes. There's a little tiny metal piece that goes in that side piece. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to tuck this by turning it over and tucking it into there. Do not cut the vinyl, you're just going for the paper. Okay, so just like that. Turn this over without dinging everything. And you're just going to tuck your top right into there. Okay? just like that. So turn it over again, and you're going to want to tape it down just so that it doesn't shift on you. Let me grab a piece of tape. Go ahead and tape it down. There's no, like, you just don't want to pull on it. You want to leave a little bit, just like that, a little bit. You just don't want to pull on it and have it go past the paper. So you can see where the paper is right there. That's what you want it to look like. I'm just holding my fingers right here, giving a little bit of pressure to keep it nice and flat. Okay, so what we need to do now is trim right here. Okay, see how I did that? You want to do that on both sides, and you want to do that on the back. And here's your line, so you're just trimming right up into that line. Feel free to remove your tape. Okay, so that's what it looks like on the front and the back. You're just lining it up with those lines there. So the next step is going to be attaching your liner and your exterior vinyl. So if you choose to make it so that it has a lining on the inside, that's what this one's for. It's waterproof canvas. So your line that we've been lining everything up with is right here. So all we're going to do is we're going to take and lay that down and tape it into place right here so that the right side is facing down. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. We know we want it to be like this, like that. So I'm just going to turn it up, right side up, line it up against that line, center it, and tape it into place. Okay, so now we've got our two pieces. They are taped. Didn't do that one as flat. They are both taped. You're going to slide this back underneath your needle, making sure that both sides are nice and flat. Check that, check that. Okay, so now we're going to stitch the next line. I'm just removing my tape, the excess tape. You don't have to do that. You can leave it. It really won't affect much. But if you have a machine that gets gummed up, you're going to want to go ahead and remove it. I'm just going to trim this down because now I know where my lines are and I don't really need that extra little bit. So that's what we got going on. And now we're just going to fold it flat. So get it on a nice flat surface, press nice and hard with your fingers, just like that. If you worry about it shifting at all, go ahead and tape down here. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give it a good pressing. And because we cut here And here, it's going to have a nice narrowing shape. Won't go over the edges. I'm excited. Make sure that's still straight underneath. And stitch your decorative stitch. So this is going to add a nice decorative edge to the top. I'm going to hold this down with my hand. You don't have to do that, but if you have it taped, but I didn't tape it. So you can see the little decorative piece right here. That's what this is. So if you decide to do the double hooping of 5x7 so that this piece here is longer, you're going to do the back side first, and then you'll do the front side, so you can match them up the same way I'm going to here in a moment. Okay, so now we're on the last step, and this is going to be your tricky part. Okay, so here's your design completely in the hoop. You can see this little line right here. This line is your pocket. This line is your pocket. You want to give yourself a little bit of extra space. I usually go right down the middle, and I'm going to cut this in half. This piece here is going to come out. So I'm going to push pause. I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to come right back. So I've gone ahead and cut this. You see how I did that? This is giving you an idea of where your shape is, so you want to make sure you give yourself plenty of space. And you're just going to pull this out. Now I like to leave as much paper as I can so it gives it a little bit more structure. And clearly, I didn't cut enough on the back. And the reason I don't put this line on the top so that you have a guide is so that when you go to line this up, you don't have that chance of missing it. I don't know how to explain it any better than that, but if the line was on the top, you'd have to be exact in lining this up. Right now, we're not going to have to do that. So, bear with me, I'm trying to see. Just cut your little threads. They're just your guides anyways. When you're all said and done, you can take a lighter to the little ends here. So, obviously, if I had taped this down, these two pieces would be flush. I didn't do that. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to line this up in the center, like this. So, this is going to be your center here. If you need to, you can kind of fold it in half. Get that point, because you know your center is right there. And you're going to line that up. Okay. This I would recommend taping. So I'm going to remove this, I'm going to tape it, and then I'll be right back. Okay. So you can see I've taped it up here so it's nice and secure. This is going to be the outside. It's going to have a raw edge, so that's why it sits the way it does. This is your front. I'm going to re-hoop it, and I'm going to stitch my last stitch. Now, if your machine has an issue with bulk, so the foot here, it needs to be a little bit higher. So on mine, I can move it so the foot is higher. It's up to you on whether or not you can do that with yours. I don't know. I do recommend it if you're going to do an interior and an exterior. So if you're doing a lining, you want to go ahead and make sure that you move that foot up a little bit. This is where you're going to want to lift that foot if you have the issue. So we're going to lift it just a little bit. And that way it'll go over this little bump right here. I have it lifted to 0.1. And you are done. so this is what it looks like. It spit my thread here a little bit, so I had to rethread it. But this is what it looks like. You'll just go ahead and remove it from your hoop and trim it. Once it's trimmed, we'll go ahead and insert this piece here into the front and the back. Now I typically will put this piece back here, which is the wider piece, and then this piece in the front, but that's up to you. So I'm going to trim this down and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and trimmed it. This is what it will look like. Trimmed all the little pieces. You can see the little lining in there. Like I said, that's optional. I like to do the wider side on the back. So what I'll do, get a little bit in there, come around. It's very flexible. Reminds you of a tape measure. Okay, so then just push through at the same time. A little bit, so it comes out on the other side. Just like that. Okay, and it comes with this little tiny piece when you order them. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take these two pieces, you're going to line them up, and see that little tab right there that's open? Get my fat fingers in here. And just slide this right into that hole. Takes a little bit of finessing because it is a tight fit. You got to make sure all these are lined up. And if you're uncoordinated like me, it takes a hot minute. So see, now that it's in there, I'm just going to take this and bend it over. Obviously, I'm using my jewelry ones, where if you had the actual metal ones would be better. If you have little pieces of paper, go ahead and pull those out. If you got little threads, go ahead and take a lighter to them. But now you've got your little pinch pouch. So you can put your rivet there, or grommet, whatever you want to call them, poke a hole, put it on a lanyard, and you're all set. Hope you enjoy.